Nei au tēnei au hei timatai o tātou whakaaro kōrero I raro era nā karakia nā kawai o tātou tupuna mātua ki ngā atua. Nā te ai o nuku, te ai o rangi, te ai o nau I o matua e. Ta maua ki runga, ta maua ki raro, ta maua ki roto, ta maua ki waho. Ta maua te taketake nei kia matua te iho, kia matua te aho. Pū whakatikitiki, pū whakaara. Pū whakaara nā te Māori, e kimihia. Kimihia te Māori, ka tau nei te Māori ai o, kia I o matua nui te rangi. Kimihia te Māori o te orunga tangata. Te orunga tangata e noho nei, raro e rā nā kawai o rongo. O rongo whakairi ai, te Māori o te ora. O rongo manawa pau roto, o rongo manawa pau waho. He wai u, he wai hā, he wai rua. E whakairi ai, I roto I te tika, te pono, te aroha. Me te rangi Māori o e rā nā tohu o te atua rongo. Rongo hei koro wai tia I o tātou whakaaro kōrero I tēnei rangi. Hei tūhiki tia, hei tūhapainga. Nā reira kei a koe e rongo kia tau tonu te rangi Māori e ki o tātou nei, te ni aitua maha e takoto mai nā kai rongo ki tēnā, ki tēnā, ki tēnā o tātou marae maha. Rātau nā mate huhua, huri noa, nā pāwhāringa, o tau pōnu I ātia. Nā reira e rongo, tāpeka hea nā, tō taonga, o te mana te tapu o tātou tupuna mātua. Hei arahi ia tātou I nei nā kōrero I tēnei ahi. Nā reira ka pū te whakaaro nui kai roto ki tēnā, ki tēnā, ki tēnā o tātou. A whinatia ia mātou ki te teaki ai te whinua, ki teaki ai nā taonga o tō tātou taia. Ki te teaki ai o tātou nei mokopuna mai te mokopuna, ka ki te atu o tātou tupuna mātua. Tātou tiwi o Tūwharetoa, a nei tātou e hui hui mai nā. I raro e rā nā kōrero o te kaitiaki o tātou taia. Nā reira uhi, wero, kia tau nei te ora. Haumi e, hui e. Ana, ka pau te hau o tēnei tangata mo tēnei wā. Ko karakia te karakia, ko mihia te mihia, nā ka tukuna te rākau ki tō tātou tiamana I tēnei wā. Ka wai e moi koutou.
Kia ora tātou. Kia ora napa, mō te tūwhera tātou hui. I've metamorphosised into the chairman of this organisation, and you'll see some familiar faces as well. But firstly, just for myself to introduce some who don't need introduction, of course, but our GM, Sean Tehehe, and if you want to introduce yourself, Mo.
Tēnā tātou e te whānau, ko Sean Tehehe ahau, he uri ahau no te mātāpuna me te hikuwai. Ko au te GM, te Tūwharetoa Settlement Trust. Tēnei te mihi.
Kia ora. Judy.
Kia ora tātou katoa, ko Judy Harris Tapuanga. I am a multi-trustee on a number of boards, so I'm on TST at this time. Kia ora.
And of course our Ariki Uncle Timu. Napa.
Ai kia ora tātou, te nuinga e mōhio ana ko wai tēnei tangata. Nā reira mai ngā kāwai hapu o Ngāti Tūwharetoa, tēnei e tuaki. Hei mui o koutou e kore e mōhio ko koai te tangata, ko paranapa rewe o tumi taku ingoa. Mai ngā hapu maha o Tūwharetoa. Nā reira tēnā tātou.
And I'd just like to introduce, we're right in the middle of election process, as you know. Now, some of us who put our names up for nomination, we're not challenged. So we carry on straight on. So that was myself, Judy, and Joe, who's not here. She was one of the 3 or 4 that came positive this morning, so unfortunately she's had to go back to Whanganui Bay. But I would like to introduce a person who is new to our organisation, who will be a trustee in about 5 weeks, and just want to introduce you to Ngā Tūwharetoa.
Tēnā tātou e te whare, ko ngā toru o tōku ingoa, noko nei ahau, engari ka tū au ki te hāpai i ngā mahi katoa o tātou iwi nei a Ngāti Tūwharetoa. Mauri ora.
And also our commercial advisor, our guru with numbers, Greg Stebbing. Poor old Dean.
Well, he's done it all for me, isn't he? So, no, kia ora, and also called Greg Stebbing talking. Nice to be here again today. First time for 3 years, I think, Kanawi to Kanawi. So it's good. I've been involved with the TST since 2013, I think, in different roles, and the role at the moment is commercial advisor, so really just helping out with all the investment stuff, and as you'll see, there's quite a bit going on by the end of the meeting. Yeah. So kia ora.
Thank you. And he does undersell himself. We're very lucky to have Greg's advice. I won't say that after, but I'll say that now, Greg. If we can turn over there, if you can both stand up, Mel and that's Mel, that's Ray Henry's daughter, and she's our wonderful administrator in support of Sean, and mihia to Melanie. And then next to her is our accountant BFA, Jeremy. Kia ora, Jeremy, for coming. And then also in the crowd we have our quite salubrious lawyer, Lyle McElwain. Lyle, where are you? Stand up, please. He's in the back there in the centre. Yeah, it's quite unlimited what he doesn't know. So that's our crew. That's our crew, and you'll see what we've been able to achieve on the way through. But I'd like to also now ask Judy to come and do the things she does best, the housekeeping.
Thanks, Rake. Housekeeping. Apologies to be noted today at the registration desk. Thank you for all those who have submitted apologies by phone or email prior to the AGM. Voting, all whānau are allowed to attend the AGM, however, only registered members are able to move motions and vote. No motions will be moved from the floor. Live stream. This meeting is being live streamed for our whānau at home by our friends at AVP. Unfortunately, we are unable to move motions or vote via live stream. Pātai. There will be an opportunity to ask pātai at the end of today's presentations. Could you please save our pātai until that time? Apologies. Minutes of previous AGM. Chairman's report, operations report, financial report, appointment of auditors, trustee elections and general business. Apologies. So that I'd like to take the apologies as being received.
Can we get a mover and second? Now this is one, unfortunately, if you recall, we were on the Zoom or the live stream. So those that were in the live stream, if you could move or second, then can we have a name? Dave Davies and Hemi Biddle. Thank you very much.
Yep.
So all in favour say aye, against carried. It's apologies.
Minutes of previous AGM, pages 56 to 63. So it's in your booklet. And only those that were present at that live streaming back then are able to move and make amendments.
Can we go same again? Okay, Kata and Dave Davies. Oh, we got one. Thank you, though, Cuz.
Kia ora, thank you for that. Up to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So as time goes on, we have different people coming to our hui, and it's, excuse me, quite important to give you an update of how we became. I think it's, as we see different people in the crowd, I think it's important to do so continuously. So what we have now is a video basically identifying the whakapapa of this organisation and how it was aligned with the CNI, basically the Tree Lords deal, and that's how we became to be. Kia ora.
The central North Island is said to be the heart of the great fish of Maui. Home to the great waters of Taupo Moana and to my people of Ngāti Tūwharetoa. We are Tūwharetoa, one of 8 iwi who united on the call of our ariki, Tātamu Te Heuheu, to act in securing our ancestral lands. In 2009, after 2 decades of debate and negotiation, our ariki, Tātamu Te Heuheu, settled the return of 176,000 hectares of forest lands, which were passed into the hands of 8 central North Island iwi. The Central North Island Forest Iwi Collective Settlement made Māori the country's largest owners of forestry land. It means our iwi can exercise strategic decision-making and kaitiakitanga over our lands once again. Today, we are able to plant the seeds of economic and social independence over our whenua that was once walked and protected by many generations of Tūwharetoa. Whatungarongaro te tangata, toi tū te whenua. As people disappear from sight, the land remains. We value the connection of people to the land, where we can intertwine business with culture, where we can continue to walk in the footsteps of our ancestors left behind for a proud and successful Tūwharetoa. Our aspirations are to continue to harness these ancestral lands for a prosperous future. Ko tongariro te maunga, ko au te whenua, we are the land. Ko taupo te moana, ko au te wai, we are the waters. Ko Tūwharetoa te iwi, ko tātou te tangata, we are the people. Ko te heuheu te tangata, ko au a Tūwharetoa. We are Tūwharetoa.
Kia ora whānau. So we look at your book that you have here, and that should start us off with the Chairman's report. So I take pleasure in providing the Chairman's report for the period, and very happy to, I suppose, kōrero about some innovative things that we're looking at. And if you recall the kōrero of the last meeting in terms of the triumvirate, the 3 organisations, so from us, TST, we're very lucky that we're able to utilise the administration of the Tūwharetoa Māori Trust Board through an SLA, service level agreement. And we also, up until May, I think, Sean, we both co-leased the building that the 3 of us are in. So, but we have information further which will give further clarity of that situation. Okay, the first issue for kōrero really is around our housing. Really what happened, a couple of years ago, we identified some property, and we also had some property come over with us in the deferred settlement process from the claim. And so since then we have acquired a number of land holdings, some for certainly housing, existing housings at Wairake, and furthermore other sections that have come under the the DSP process. Like you go down Tūwharetoa Street, the Party Street, you can see an empty lot where there is currently a house advertising business there. That's owned by ourselves as well as in partnership with Te Paia Waimihia. And so we have a number of those investments there. But the concentration at the moment for us is housing. And I must say, we were very green in going into that arena. We have progressed now to a certain, I would say now expert capacity and capability. We have in that area at least 5 staff now. The first exciting one, which is Te Iwi Heke Place in Tūdangi, that was out of the Tūdangi Tukua claim that became available to us. We had to go to the court to be a preferred AD&E because we were not whānau, but that got through and everyone seemed to be okay with that. So that's progression in terms of our housing side. We have had a number of, interest from other large trusts and corporations, as well as the Trust Board, as well as fisheries to be part of it, and we're talking about that presently. 10 Mairi Street, Wairakei. So there's another couple of pieces of property. We also have what's called, and I must say right here, is it's been quite a pleasure to be in partnership with most of our things with Te Paia Waimihia. Te Paia Waimihia have also got a lot of expertise that we've been able to collaborate with, which has allowed us to make certain commercial decisions, not only for housing, but also in a number of other spheres of investment. Okay, Tūwharetoa Limited. Now, Tūwharetoa Limited is our internal investment arm, and just recently we've picked up the office that the three of us were domiciled in terms of Trust Board, TST, and the fisheries, and so we now own the building that we were leasing. Why'd you do that? Reason why, it's very, very, very valuable land in terms of being our own taonga land coming back, as well as it being quite strategically placed in terms of Horomatangi Street, which is one of the last sort of bastions of the edge, I can say, of where the town has to stop. So Titiopinga Street, from then on, going into the residential, that's where town has to stop that by regulation. So it was very important to identify a building that was still good, and also the land. The land just appreciates all the time because of that regulation. And the other investment that we've done with a number of other trusts is Te Wharehono or Tūwharetoa. Part of that was talked about in the Trust Board presentation, and there'll be further kōrero on that as we go forward in this program. So you can see where in the maps, you can see where our big building is, 7985. So we all lease the bottom, so we lease off ourselves. So too does the Trust Board lease off TST, and fisheries lease off us. And above, on the second story, we have lawyers up there who lease to TST through Tūwharetoa Limited. And next door is Te Wharehono or Tūwharetoa, the proposed building where not only council will be present, but the Trust Board, the three entities, will move across to that building and take the top floor. And so you'll have us, then council underneath us. It'll be the first time of such a collaboration to happen. We're very happy to be able to lock in probably the most blue chip lessee you can get in town, which is your council. And so we do thank Danny and Danny Lachlan as a councillor now that he is a councillor. But yeah, I think in a number of ways it's quite strategic, and certainly the rental and the appreciation is very, very fair. So here's some pictures of what the designers have got. It's all totally all cultural, ngāhere wall, and our families here are identifying, and Napa are identifying some of the cultural stories that are going to be on there. And the next part is the wall, which will tell a story of Ngāti Roirangi. So from that perspective, that's really one aspect that will be discussed further in this presentation. Obviously, we have Tātumu, and in the sphere of Ngāu o te motu, held in very high esteem. And so this was only November, wasn't it? About 4 weeks ago, we held the National Iwi Chairs Forum, where all the iwi come together to talk about topical issues, specifically now the regulations of the Crown. And the feedback that we've got back from a facilitation perspective, that it was excellent. The participants were able to deal with the take in a very good environment, and we're very happy with how we performed, and Uncle's happy, so that's the main thing as well. But other iwi have certainly sent back their gratitude. In terms of the mahi side of things, that too, because when you have the NICF, you also have the ministers come. At this juncture, I think we had 7 ministers come. Other iwi leaders forum meetings around this time, they only get about 3. So, and with Tātumu in the room, everyone sort of behaved themselves as well. So that was good. Yeah. So, a number of you know Toro from just Esther, Hawke's Bay area. And then Maria Meno, she will be the next host. That will happen at Waitangi. So further, these are some of the expose, the symposium, I should say, symposium and the expose on Ngāti Tūwharetoa in terms of the commercial side of things. So these are all the commercial CEOs, etc. The next milestone that we have completed, and it's a long-standing one, but if you recall at the last meeting that was on the Zoom or on the live stream, we discussed the Mangama Whiti Dorchester guarantee process. What I can, I suppose, gratefully say that we have now completed that. There was an issue in terms of payments to be made, and what I can say, within a year, both parties have paid what is required, so we do thank them for their forbearance, and we're very happy to close off a long-standing issue. So, kia ora. So in terms of, and I talked about it before with regard to the triumvirate, the 3 entities. Again, in this case for the Ringaropa was where we got some money from the Crown first, but then it ran out, and because of the kōrero with all the marae, they were quite happy to ask us to carry it on somehow, and so the Trust Board and TST and partly also Fisheries got together to carry it on for another year. Unfortunately, it closed in October, but we are in the process of looking at the revitalisation of it. What has happened though is, I think we had 10, I think 6 of them have come out with jobs with that, and also we're looking for some of our hammer hand people with regard to the new building as well. So that's I hope that everyone will be able to partake in. CNI mana whenua, now Napa will talk about this a little bit more. CNI mana whenua, when you're in, how can I say, a grouping of 8 iwi, not everyone's going to agree on certain things. And so with the mana whenua situation, that's mana whenua in this context means you've got the Kaingaroa Forest, and some iwi feel they need a little bit more, some iwi would say you don't need a little bit more, and then you have your little whawhai, and sure enough you're back in court. So in terms of the court case, we have a result there, and we're still working through some stuff, but Napa's going to court it off further. Also within our internal mana whenua, we have Waimaroke, Pukeriri, the Pukeriri blocks and Waimihia blocks. That is a mana whenua situation or mana whenua discussion with our families at Ngāti Tahu. And noting we're all, most of us in Ngāti Tahu, and most Ngāti Tahu are Tūwharetoa, so it should be an easy process, you'd think so. But that's certainly what we'll be striving for, and so we've created a new platform for us to engage on that. So, again, I keep on going about the triumvirate. I love it, really, because it's cool. Everyone sort of asks, what's the middle triangle? That's either the Ao Marama, or it's either the future, or it's either a place for others to be part of. There's always been a question around Te Kotahitanga or Tūwharetoa. Certainly, they have their primary function needs to be completed, which is the giving back of the land to our hapu through the claim. So there's a spot there where we can all be one, but at least we've created a spot. And so that's very, very, we're hopeful, I personally am hopeful, that we can sort something out. Anyway, there's a whole lot of issues there that we've identified as part of the fiduciary activities of triumvirate, and especially in joint investments as well. Just for myself, appreciation to obviously Ariki Tumu Te Heuheu. Now, in our trust deed, Ariki Tumu Te Heuheu's position is set within the trust deed. Okay, so it's the only organisation in this tribe that has that written into the trust deed. So we're very, very thankful of that. Auntie George, she's unfortunately away with a family illness. Again, she's deputy chair, and I don't know if you fellas know Auntie George, no, but she's very, very particular, and you know that she has been in cabinet because she tells you. I was the first Māori woman in cabinet. Yes, Auntie, But she will read everything. So I do appreciate her support as chair for myself, selfishly. But yeah, she's impeccable in terms of what a trustee needs to be. So we think of her in these dark days. Unfortunately, Jo, she's not here with us. She was one of the 3 who got COVID today. Judy, of course, always, if you want to have a happy time, bring Judy along. So thank you, Judy. And obviously, Napa, your leadership and everything has been fantastic. We lose Dylan Tahoe. He decided not to stand, and he's got a bit of mawiri at the moment, so we're thinking of him. But now we have the beautiful and exciting Ngā Toru Wall to fill in that post. I'd like to also just appreciate my staff, or Sean's staff, sorry. Sorry, bro. Just thank the staff. They're great. Especially in our housing area where everyone's sort of got to think about something new and a new thing for us at Tūwharetoa. What we're trying to do is lay a platform for all the other trusts and corporations who isn't interested in the housing to all come together. And probably at the end of it there'll be a charitable trust with all those entities being part of the particular governance of that. Okay? So, and happy to answer questions at the end of this. But it's been a great year in my view. It's been a great, exciting year for laying the platform for, and like I said before, I'm sort of a money man, to make sure there's money for fiduciary activities. Happy about our balance sheet, happy about our progression. So I would ask someone to move and perhaps second my. Thank you, Rahapa. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Julie Tangaide. All in favour? Say aye. Against, carried. Thank you very much.
Kia ora anō tātou. I'd just firstly like to say I feel very privileged that I'm standing here delivering this kōrero to you and doing this mahi. So ngā mihi kia koutou. I'm going to start off with our housing kaupapa, which is He Iwi Kāinga. So in 2020 we did a fair bit of work developing our strategy on housing, and this has created the path for us that we're following at the moment. So that was designed to support the needs of our iwi and the environment that we live in, because we're in a special environment here in the Central North Island. We began implementing our programs in 2021, and we started off with whare ora. So this was a program where we have qualified members of our staff go out and visit the houses of our whānau, assessing the condition of whānau homes, identifying priority repair or maintenance areas, providing advice on how whānau can improve their living conditions, and our next step being, now that we're collating all this information, so it looks at the moment like we're just doing assessments, but really our main aim here is figuring out a path that we can work together and get some of these repairs carried out. We've noticed that that roofing is an issue on a lot of our houses. Electrical wiring, insulation. So our job now is to take that away and try and form a program that can help address some of those issues. Advice and advocacy, this is another one of our programs. So this is around providing financial advice and advocacy for our whānau, particularly in relation to housing, helping whānau address their priority repair areas, helping them understand what they can do in their house with what they have now to make sure that they can stay healthy, stay warm, and connecting whānau with tradies and other services, and also to support systems, the support systems that are already out there. So this has been a real key part of our program. Sorted Kāinga Ora, so this is a Te Puni Kōkiri funded course. It's an 8-week course, 2 classes a week. We got over 20 whānau enrolled in this. This provides financial education to our whānau. It talks about debt, savings, budgeting and planning for the unexpected. It's really about empowering our whānau, providing them with the tools so that it can help them achieve their aspirations. So we think this is a real crucial tool in our tool kete, and we're hoping that by running these courses and getting our whānau through these courses that we can upskill them, they'll then take it home, upskill their whānau, and hopefully that can flow on through the iwi. So this is a real key part that we hope to continue. And another 3 recent kaupapa that we've started, one is sustaining tenancies. This is around providing support to our whānau to keep them in their rentals. So the tenancy environment can be difficult, and this role in particular is about making sure that they understand their requirements and their rights. So this is supporting them through their tricky tenancy situations, empowering whānau to address their tenancy issues. Now, next on the list is papakainga, again another crucial tool in our toolkit. We have the land, but understanding how we can develop it and put our whānau houses on there is another thing. So this papakainga kaupapa is all about empowering our whānau to understand the capabilities, building our collective capabilities around papakainga development, running seminars on papakainga development and trustee governance courses so that we can understand at a trust level what we need to do to get these papakainga up and running. At the end of the kaupapa, we want to have a set of tools that we can distribute around the iwi so that we can all understand what we need to do if we want to build a house on our papakainga. Tenancy and rentals. So this is a support mechanism around the houses that I'm going to talk about shortly, around the rental homes that we have through the Tūwharetoa Settlement Trust. And this is supporting whānau in our affordable rental homes, identifying what their housing aspirations are, providing training, tools and resources to help them achieve these aspirations. Again, empowering our whānau. All of these kaupapa are just about empowering our whānau, letting them know that they have the tools to do this mahi. So this is a real key one. As I'll talk to the houses shortly, this is around making sure that they're well supported in their homes, they understand how to maintain homes, and then they understand how to plan to move on from the rental homes, hopefully into owning their own home one day. Residential builds. So these are the residential builds that were the affordable rentals at Te Iwi Heke Place in Tūrangi. This is just the start. This is us putting our feet in the water. These are homes built as a tool to help whānau achieve their housing aspirations. We're providing whānau with affordable rental accommodation, the idea being that that provides them with time to save, to learn, to prepare for the next step in their journey. So we see these as a lily pad. This is one of the first lily pads that they have to jump from. The whānau chosen are in a privileged position. There are 13 houses at present, but they also have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to learn and move forwards, which will provide others with the same opportunity. So our aim for these homes is to use them to provide a leg up for as many whānau as possible. So it's important that we're upskilling our whānau so that they can move on from these affordable rentals. We've got a few plans here, so these are some of the concepts of He Kāinga o Iwi Heke. As you can see from that one there, that shows a communal, we're trying to build a community, not trying to build isolated houses. So we've got a low hedging around the houses and a communal area at the back. We're hoping that within that communal area we'll have shared services as well, so we can start acting like a real community again. Also there we've got another concept drawing from what it might look like from the road, from Te Iwi Heke Place. And this is the work. So these homes are being built off-site and they'll be transported to Tūrangi in the new year. This is the start of the work. And as you can see, the walls are going up, so they're moving quite fast. They're all built in a tight space with, I think, half a dozen people working on these homes, and they'll bounce from one house to another. And you can see here as it's going up, so the roofs are now on. And this is a photo taken yesterday of the houses. So as you can see, the windows are in on a couple of the houses, the roofs are on, and some of the side panels are up, which is really exciting to see. So these homes will be completed on site here in Taupō and then transported down, and they'll be fully completed with internal fittings and fixtures. So it's going to make for an interesting trip around Bully Point. So all this mahi couldn't have been done without support of others. Bay Trust has been a big supporter from the beginning. Te Puni Kōkiri with sorted kāinga ora. Ministry of Housing and Urban Development and Ka Uru Ora helped provide a substantial amount of pūtea for He Kāinga o Iwi Heke. And Egmont Dixon is running the project with Penny Homes, building the homes. Yeah, so Ka Uru Ora, the Taranaki-based entity linked with Taranaki Iwi. Initially, we went in with Ka Uru Ora to get a substantial return from the Crown in terms of the funding that they were providing. So Ka Uru Ora got funding to build, I think it's 179 homes, and part of that funding came across to Tūwharetoa Settlement Trust. So we're really thankful for the energy they put in. They built the business case initially and then approached the Crown. So we felt at that stage that going to the Crown as a grouping would provide a better return, and we've been pretty happy with the return that we've been given for Te Iwi Heke Place so far. Next, kaupapa. So that was our housing kaupapa, and next is our marae. So we have substantial investment in our marae. Again, like Rake's spoken about, in collaboration with the Tūwharetoa Māori Trust Board, we have the Marae Capital Works. If you were here earlier in the Tūwharetoa Māori Trust Board AGM, you would have heard about this. So sorry if you hear the same thing again, but this is about supporting our marae developments and maintenance. This year we carried out a couple of feasibility studies, Papakai Marae and Pākira Marae. And so a feasibility study is about making a plan for the construction works that are going to happen in front of us. In terms of construction projects, we had a fair bit of work carried out at Hekairo Marae, Otukau Marae, Pukawa Marae, Rongomai Marae, Te Tikanga Marae. And by all accounts, the feedback so far has been that that's been really helpful to our marae. The total combined Marae Capital Works investment was 439k between Tūwharetoa Māori Trust Board and the Tūwharetoa Settlement Trust this year. Got a couple of photos here from Otukau Marae of some of the work that they've been doing on the arch gola, and they're keeping themselves weatherproof. We also have the Marae Operational Support Grant. So this is a contribution to our marae towards the day-to-day upkeep and operational costs associated with running our marae. This is a $15,000 grant provided annually to the 29 marae that are listed in our trust deed. So our total Marae Operational Support Grant investment was 435k during the year. And this grant is always well received by our marae and helps to lubricate the wheels of the system and keep the power on at our marae. The Ringarau kaupapa, which Rake touched on, kaupapa run by Tūwharetoa Māori Trust Board with support from TST. So we were really lucky to be able to jump on board this kaupapa with the Tūwharetoa Māori Trust Board. They had the resource and the capacity, and we provided some additional funding. So they had 10 kaimahi from our iwi employed to carry out maintenance and renovation work on Tūwharetoa Marae. The idea being that they revitalise the marae and support the whānau that are affected by COVID-19. So this provided employment, training and qualifications and helped our marae out. So it was really critical at that time when we were all standing around wondering what we were going to do for mahi. Here's a photo of Hekairo Marae and some of the mahi that was done there. And also one of the mahi at Pākira Marae. Education grants. This is a staple for the Tūwharetoa Māori Trust Board and the Tūwharetoa Settlement Trust. Also provided funding from Ngāti Tūwharetoa Fisheries Charitable Trust. So we had 1,879 grants distributed this year. They range in value from $400 to $1,000. They were early childhood, secondary school, NCEA, tertiary, special needs, trade training, and our total combined education grant investment was $754,000. Also, in terms of education, we have STEM scholarships. So the STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics. We have 3 of those scholarships available every year, and each of those scholarships is worth $10,000. So it's a big leg up for our students. And we were proud to support these future leaders who bring a unique kaupapa Māori view to their mahi. So you can see them there. There's a picture of our 3 successful recipients this year. Sean McNeil, Ngāti Tūrangi Tukua, Hini Unwin, Ngāti Karauia, and Keiha Nicol from the Hikuai. And again, I'm just going to touch on the mana whenua. And I'm going to ask Uncle Napa after me to come up here. So in July 2021, the CNI iwi were subject to court proceedings in the High Court. We've been doing a bit of work around the outputs from this, and I'm hoping Uncle Napa can fill us in. Kia ora, Uncle Napa.
When we settled the CNI forest thing, settlement of Kaingoro, all things weren't settled. And so over the last 6 years, we've been in the High Court process. The court has made its decisions and it's said to us, if you can't sort it out, then we will. And none of you will like it. So just over the last couple of months, we sat down as the 8 iwi to try and settle our differences out of court. And only for the report today, back to you, it's mahi that is ongoing. We have resolved one of the major issues by agreement of all of the 8 iwi of the Kaingoro settlement. We have yet to resolve one more issue, and it's in regard to the titles of the forest blocks. So what we've been able to achieve, I think all of the iwi are happy as to where we're at today. We hope to have ongoing discussions before February to resolve the last issue. We have reported back to the High Court in respect of where we are presently at. So it's comforting to know that we've been able to use our tikanga, our histories, to resolve again some of our differences. So, koina te kaupapa, kua mōhio ai koutou. Watch the space. Hopefully in the new year, we'll be able to, in some way, report back as to where we have got to. Kia ora tātou.
And that's almost the end of my report. I just want to acknowledge the mahi that our staff and our advisors, and we're lucky to have some of our advisors in the room today, Jeremy, Lyle, Tyrone and Greg. We've had a busy year, super busy, and we've all been working pretty hard, so yeah, kia ora. And thanks also to our members, our members, for trusting in us to be able to carry out this mahi. Yeah, ngā mihi ki a koutou. So now we got the resolution that the operations report be received. Just ask if there's a mover and a seconder, please.
Kia
ora.
Oh, and Auntie, I got it.
Kia ora. Kia ora tātou.
Tū te mahurangi.
And now I'll just call Greg up to give our financial report. Kia ora, Greg.
That one. Yeah.
All right, whānau. Yeah.
We have a lot of fun. Kia ora anō. This is a tough gig after lunch, isn't it? I saw some quite big plates being eaten out there earlier, so I'm just trying to see who's still awake. So I'll be doing the financials. Hopefully try to keep you entertained to a degree, but it's, if I'm working out this, kapai. So this is just obviously a snapshot of the last 4 years. And I guess the profit is the bottom line there, and you can see for 2022 year, it's the lowest of the 4 years, but primarily, and I'll talk about some of the reasons in a minute, basically the same story you heard this morning about the managed funds investments. So this is effectively the money we've got invested in share markets and bonds and all that, and I'll touch on a bit about that stuff a bit later. But our revenue is, so really the main change there was the impact of the managed funds. But more specifically, I guess, so we made 3.1 million. The managed funds drop compared to last year, we're down $3 million. So pretty high impact. And to be honest, it's got a bit better in the last month, but there's still some worse months in there. Remember, this finished in June, so even July, August, September haven't been good, and that's primarily driven by interest rates and Ukraine. So some of the highlights. So Kākano Investment Limited Partnership. So this is our investment in Kaingaroa Timberlands. So this is the company that owns the trees and operates on the Kaingaroa lands. So what we do is we get, as part of the 8 iwi in CNI, we basically collect about 26% of all the rentals paid by Kaingaroa Timberlands to the landholders. So that's our main income stream. But a few years ago, we had the opportunity, along with other iwi, to invest in the company that owns the trees, and that total company is worth about $4 billion now, I think. And so, interestingly, 8 iwi, the New Zealand Super Fund offered a minimum of 2.5%, a maximum of 5 to 6 iwi, or 8 iwi, 2 declined. And we couldn't raise enough money for the 5%, but to get to 2.5%, it was $50 million US. So we put, I think, 13 million in? 12 million, and haven't looked back, to be honest. It's been a great performer, and so year on year we're getting at least $1 million out of that. CNI, the rentals went up because there was a big rental review 2 years ago, and the rentals on Kaingaroa, which Kaingaroa Timberlands pay, went up 50%, basically driven by land values. And I don't know if any of you have had your latest valuations this week from Tūwharetoa District Council, but you'll see a massive lift. A lot of that's driven by farm values, and in the case of Taupo, of course, real estate. So the managed funds lost there. Costs have gone up, so that's a negative, I guess, but just really those costs for last year were mainly the bringing on and gearing up the housing team. Some of that's offset by grants that have been secured from the Crown and Bay Trust. But also, Napa mentioned the CNI, the High Court case, so we had to go into that, and we actually shared lawyers with Tūhoe, which kept the cost down, but they were still pretty high. So that's the cost of when somebody doesn't agree with everybody else and you end up having to go to a high court. You can easily spend $200,000 or $300,000 on legal fees. I think we waited about a year for the result. Yeah. It's the court system's a little bit broke, I think. So that was the P&L. Oops, that didn't work. There we go. The balance sheet, or the financial position. Let's sort of focus on the bottom line again. You can see how the equity of the trust, so this is what the trust is worth, has gone over the 4 years up to $65.1 million. We sort of have a policy that we want the trust fund to grow each year by at least 4%. Now, some years that will be hard to do, but on average we want at least 4%. And the reason we do that is that really this trust has to be, or this fund has to look after the tribe forever. And so what you're up against every year is inflation. So you've got to try and beat that. But also the membership is growing. So to really make sure we can provide benefits forever, let's say, we need, we can't just run at a break-even position. We have to be building that trust fund and invest in it wisely. So we've been successful in doing that. Our chair is a bit obsessed about these numbers, and has set a target of something...
200 mil by...
150 mil by... And that's the main KPI he puts on me, I think. It's 2043 there, so I'm not sure I'll be around. But no, we've been successful, and that's quite important, I think, and I think a lot of other trusts maybe don't get that sort of need to keep growing. Otherwise, you're really going backwards, because, if you give somebody $100 today, next year it's only worth $98 or $95. In fact, right now, about $90. So, you're reducing the buying power. This next slide is really just trying to show where that 65 million sits. And that confusing bar graph on the right is really I guess it's trying to emphasise that we've had some shift in our investment classes, but really summarising in that table, you can see 40% of our assets were in forestry. Now that's effectively our investment in Kākano that I talked about, but that's gone down to 36%, so that's because we haven't invested any more in forestry. But really you can see the shift there in property, so we've gone from 9% of our funds in property to 21%. So as Rake, I think, and Sean touched on, this was, the purchase of the office in town, some Iwiheke Place, some sections out by Wharewaka Point. So good, we're taking money out of managed funds to buy property to reinvest. And so to me, we're achieving two things. Over time, we'll get better returns. We're pretty confident of that, but also we're getting whenua back, albeit we're having to buy it. Cash and managed funds, they're really at 42%. We have a note there, we have a goal with our advisors that it's, we shouldn't go below 30%, because this is basically our liquidity. So we've still got some headroom at the moment, but up until now, all these other investments have just been coming out of managed funds. We haven't taken on any debt. In fact, if I went back on that balance sheet, you'll see there was liabilities of 15 million. That's basically, there's no debt in there. It's basically, we're holding money still for the Forest Tapu Cluster Trusts, particularly Waimihia, but also Taurewa. And that's until the mana whenua corridor, again for Waimihia, is resolved. The expectation is that money will then have to go across to Waimihia. So at the moment, the Trust doesn't have any lending from banks. It's not to say it won't happen though. Although right now with interest rates going through the roof, we probably won't rush out and do that. Although that has been explored for Te Wharehono. The managed funds, which I've talked about, really how, you saw it again with Danny's stuff this morning. This graph is quite telling, really. You can see, so the black line is if you left your money in 90-day bank rates, so it's sort of term deposits. And that's how a lot of our trusts still have their money. And this is how this trust used to have their money. So then at some point you need to, I guess, get a bit more mature and take a bit more risk with it, that's the downside. But if you want to tap into better returns, you have to move into managed funds. So basically it's like KiwiSaver. And so, instead of getting invested just in a bank deposit, it's covering a whole range of things, hundreds of stocks and all that. So what that shows though is that even though we've seen the downturn, and that graph will go down a bit more next year, but it's started to recover, we have been achieving 4% across those 5 years. Now that doesn't sound that flash, but we had about 2 years recently where term deposits were only paying 1%. So it's been good. But you have nervous times when you get that downturn and we start worrying about it. So what do we do about it? Because we're not financiers. So we have an investment advisor provider. It's a company called My Fiduciary, and they work quite closely with Iwi Investor, which is owned by the Lake Taupo Forest Trust. But My Fiduciaries, they call the shots, so we're relying on them to tell us what to do with this money, whether we change the portfolio, whether we move some around. So whenever we get these sort of crises, let's call it, we're on the phone to them. They say, look, we're just going to move some out of government bonds into here because inflation is going to kill it. And really, they're pretty, I think, what was the return here? They have done better than, about 4%. They believe their performance has been better by about 4% than their competitors. Now, these guys are pretty sharp, and 2 of them have come out of the super fund, and we rely heavily on them. When they give us advice, really, we would have to have a very good reason not to, we'd have to have a really good reason not to take it. That'd be quite risky, and so we generally have to go with their advice. But we got trust, we got faith in them, and it's worked well for us. Just a bit more about that. So there was some allocation changes during the year when things started to get moved quite volatile. they've outperformed the market. Quite a big part of the funds, and I can't give you the detail, but really about it's the environmental responsibility, and so they do measure quite a few of their where they've got the investments on a social and environmental angle, and they track. I think in the annual report it's tracked there as to how it's improving. Most of the big funds do this now. Yeah, and you can see the cumulative, the bottom line there, the gain since 2007 around 90%, 13% ahead of what investors would have earned in the bank. You'll see in the booklet that there's we have a lot of limited partnerships, investment partnerships, and this has been a bit of a trend in the last 4 or 5 years. I think it started with when we were looking to buy the Crown properties, the schools in Taupo and the courthouse, and what these partnerships enable you to do, I guess, is to do some quite big investments and pool money. Because one thing about Tūwharetoa is, apart from the likes of Tūwharetoa, maybe the Forest Trust, the rest of us are all relatively small, and we have hundreds of trusts. So there's quite a few Ahu Whenua trusts who might have $50–60 million. Most of it's in land, except his trust. So farm trust, and then there's the iwi trust, and again they're only about the $50–60–70 million. So that's in the investment world, that's not much. And so when the big deals come along, you really have to get together to even get in the door, to get the phone calls. And that's what we've been doing, and I think it's been successful. We're yet to see the big returns on some of the investments, but I think it's enabled us to get. I mean, it takes quite a bit of trust and quite a bit of communication between the trusts. And I'd say this wasn't the case, when I first looking at some of the trusts 10 years ago. That everyone was in their own silo. They wanted to do their own thing. They all wanted to be a rock star. But it really, with I guess a lot of the work done by people like Tūwharetoa Hall and even Adrian Orr, who's quite closely connected to Tūwharetoa, convincing us that we've got to get together. Because it's quite hard to, we're a bit different to other iwi. You take Tainui, where basically everything's together. And they might be $1.5 billion. But if you added all the Tūwharetoa equities together, we'd be way ahead of that. But we don't work together as well, although there's probably 10 quite big trusts in Tūwharetoa doing stuff together now. So yeah, all those LPs, they do take a lot of work to manage, but it is the way we operate. The limited partnership model is a good model because it enables you to protect your tax and that. If anybody has any questions about any of those, I'll be happy to answer that. So that's sort of it. And I guess that was trying to cover off basically pages 23 to 55. In the booklet, the audit report, you will see it's a clean report, so that's good. So there's no qualifications on it, and that's what you look for every time. You get nervous when you don't get that. So what I'd like to do is look for a mover and a seconder that the financial report be received. Move Danny Lachlan, and seconded Melanie Henry. All those in favour, say aye. Aye. And the last thing we have to do each year is reappoint the auditors. Now we use a company called, it's actually called Crow now, but Crow Horth. We've been using them for about 5 or 6 years now. I think 2 years ago we might have gone out to tender just to check the market again, and they came through successfully. We're happy with them. They're pretty accommodating. Through COVID, auditing has been quite a tough ask for them with their staff. So we're looking to reappoint Crow as our auditors for another year. So again, I'll move that, but could I have a seconder? Danny Lachlan again. All those in favour? Aye. Anybody against? Kapai. Kia ora.
Kia ora everybody. It's always great to have Greg as involved in our mahi, especially our financial mahi. I suppose one other qualifier is Greg talked about 2044 or 2043, and us having a goal there. The reason why we need a goal there is because part of the mana whenua percentages, so we enjoy 25.9% of the rentals coming out of CNI. At 2044, that income is going to reduce quite significantly by around 30%. So we need to, I suppose, put more acorns in the tree to maintain, for us to be serviceable to yourselves, then also us to have a vehicle or have resources to actually function to a certain level that we're able to do. So that's just a qualifier. Once we get to 2044, income's going to go down. So we're just sort of trying to pad it or hedge it, is what they call it. But thank you, Greg. Next part is Sean, and that's the trustee elections process.
Kia ora no whānau. So trustee elections, this is our year for trustee elections. These happen every 5 years. We've been through the majority of the process. Today is the last day for voting. So I'm just going to run through the process from the beginning. 5-yearly trustee elections. So the nominations for the 2022 trustee elections closed in September, 27th of September. As only one nomination was received for each of the tai whenua, the following were declared elected. For Tai Hauauru tai whenua, Joe Te Huia. For the Hikuai, Ngā Toru Wall. For the Mātāpuna, Rākei Poho. For the Tai Tonga, Judy Harris. And congratulations to the elected trustees there. As there were more than 2 nominations received for the Tūwharetoa whānui position, so there's only 2 vacant positions, an election was required. This election has been conducted by postal and internet voting, and it's also being conducted by ballot box voting today. So if you are a registered member and haven't yet voted, please see Isaiah outside here. He's got a big bright red box in front of him. And if you can fill out your forms and put your vote in there, that'd be much appreciated. So all going well, we should have some results back out to you by December the 6th. So I'd just like to ask that we pass a resolution that the trustee election update be received. Somebody to move, please. Kia ora whaia. Somebody to second. Ka pai, kia ora Auntie Aroha. Ngā mihi. Video.
I thought we were running a little bit ahead of time, so we thought we might give you a movie of the new building that we're looking to be part of with a number of the LP members. So if we can kick that off, mate. It's only about 4 minutes. Pushing my green. So the bottom floors are District Council. That's the entrance, which is by the school, just up the road there, school side. The lake's on my left-hand side. So ngā here and Napa are doing all the finals for the our cultural display. We're all around Ngātaroirangi. So when you look through the window straight ahead here, that's the lake. So that's still council. That's the top floor of council. And you see the glass up top, that's where we'll be from here. This is our area here. Oh, sorry. Up here is where we'll be. So the tree's going to be hopefully native or perhaps some other material, but it'll be of the tōtara tree that was chucked. And that's it. So obviously we're getting land back, but at the end of the day it'll be the most iconic building in Taupo. It's basically almost 4 stories high, with Māori all over it, massive, and making us money. Okay, we've come to the penultimate time, which is he pātai, and I'll take Auntie. Mics, can we get mics over there, please? Raise your hand. But we need your proper name, Auntie. Mike.
Kia ora, Uncle. I just want to refer to that video. I'm over 60. I didn't see any wheelchair access or lifts. Is there going to be any?
No, we have lifts. We have lifts here, and it's all when you go in, there's no ramp at all. It's ground floor. But there'll also be a little bit of a medical centre in there too.
I might need one by then.
Now.
I know I've got heaps of questions here. Let me start off with, I remember when this board, way back in 2019, was doing the research around this housing development for Papakainga. It's really neat to know that it's moved forward. But my pātai is the 13 homes in Tūrangi. How many hectares is that, or acres, or?
That's only not even 1 point.
600 squares.
They're all 600 squares, so 1310, 6,000. That's about 8 acres.
8 acres?
No, sorry, 4 quarter. 7.8 acres, yeah.
7.8. Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't too far off.
So I see they're building these homes off-site. I'm worried about the quality of the homes themselves in terms of wood. How long, whatever materials they're using, how long would that actually last over time?
Oh, you're asking the wrong question to me.
Oh, okay.
But certainly, you know, they're brand new houses, they'll come with warranty, they've had so many eyes over the design. I tell you, like the design of them is... So I think one interesting thing, you know how people actually don't use the garage for the garage?
Yep.
Actually, you know, we've designed it in a way that that space is actually going to be more home, more room. But in terms of the building, yeah, they're supposed to last over 25 years.
Okay, so how many bedrooms to those homes?
3s and 4s, eh?
Three to four. And if you use the garage as, classify the garage as maybe a bedroom.
Yeah.
But we won't tell council that, because the rates will go up. So that'll be an extra 4 to 5 bedrooms.
Perhaps.
Oh, how cool.
Perhaps. Because the other thing to remember, we don't know how long this money's going to last for, from the Crown.
Yeah.
So, because we're in partnership with the Crown, so we've got to probably act quickly. You know, certainly some of the models that you have over in Napier and Hastings, to the fore, you know, are very, very good.
Yeah. And I guess my last question would be, I don't know where I'll put it now. It was to do with the building, the council building, and the Tūwharetoa Māori Trust Board building, you know, that nice flash one. And then you've got that other building that you're moving from.
Yeah.
What would you utilise that for?
Well, see, it's being purchased strategically because you've got 3 waters coming on soon, right? 3 waters, it's going to happen one day, even though it's been paused a little bit. You've got the WRC, which is the Waikato Regional Council, on that side. You're going to have the Taupo District Council on that side, and then there'll be our building in the middle, the one that we're leaving. We already have substantial lease abilities above, but all the contractors, we've had about 5 inquiries already of people wanting to lease when we leave because of the strategic space it is. Now, you might have seen a car park too. There's a car park right next to it. That car park's worth about $2 million, just a car park. And so what we're going to look at that place is actually putting more offices there for leasing, but that's down the line. That's down the line.
Okay.
So definitely it's quite a popular place, and because it is the last space that you can have any sort of commercial building on in town, that's the limit of the CBD or the Central Business District.
Yeah.
All the rest has got to be residential.
Okay. So moving forward, so maybe 20 years or 30 odd years down the track, and all this housing development structure happening, and when it gets up and it's making a lot of money, would you venture out to where Tūwharetoa people are living outside of Taupo and maybe look at doing something there?
Ask me in 19 years.
Well,
because at the end, they're certainly not in our plans at the moment, but 20 years I'll probably be dead. But at the end of the day, it is the biggest, I think the biggest thing you can take from this corridor is there's a whole lot of trusts and corporations who have land and cash who want a little bit of guidance. So it's not use us giving what guidance we have, but it's more to join up. So join up to make a charitable trust, like the Tūwharetoa Housing Charitable Trust. Yeah. And then what values or capability we might have built up, we can share with the whole, and it becomes not just TST's gig, it becomes everyone's, all the big land and trusts gig as well. Sorry to use the word gig, but that's why I use. So the most important thing about this journey is the collaboration with all the trusts and corporations that have land, and of which you're all landowners in as well.
Yeah. And we're Tūwharetoa and Kahungunu.
Yes.
I mean, we own some land with just whānau. But my thinking was around maybe building a whare where all Tūwharetoa can come to if they're passing through.
Yeah.
We did
Well, we've
that.
got your address, so...
Oh, have you? Oh, wipe it off. Thank you very much to the board.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Anne. Kata?
Just again, on behalf of to the Trust, Tūwharetoa Settlement Trust, on behalf of Pukawa Marae, Chair, Marae Committee, Ngāti Mananui, thank you very much for all the financial assistance that you've given the marae. Very much appreciated so that we could get all the maintenance and also it's going towards future projects. Wharekai. Kia ora.
Thank you, Kata. What a wonderful marae.
Whiana kahukura Chase. Nā mihi anō. What's the expected cost of building the building and what's the forecast for income?
Expected costs is going to be around about, with all of the entities, be around about late 30s, and income is identified to be around 6% at least. That's dependent on negotiations with the lessor or lessee, we're the lessor with the lessee. So you've got the blue chip around, the blue chip tenant you can ever have in this town. So they're not going anywhere, we're not going anywhere. We are, and we probably have the same investment horizons. We're long-termers, but still making money on the way through. All right? Kia ora. Oh, Mere.
Yep.
Mere Manipuro.
Mihi kawana ki te whare. Mihi atu ki a koutou hoki i te tepu. Kei te mautaku pōtai e pāna ki Puriora South. So I'm a trustee for Marotiri Puriora Forest. And in 2017, we went on a hikoi and had a look at that whenua, and they showed us all the tōtara that was on that land that had been felled before they replanted. And then, so we wanted to get all of that tōtara out of that forest. But since then they've replanted, and I want to know why we can't go in there and get that tōtara out of there. That's all.
Who's stopping you fellas?
So we went through, we want to know how we get in there, and it was the forest managers, wasn't it, that we had to wait for.
Okay. You want to do this one?
Kia ora, Mary. Kia ora. So we're still talking with forest managers, and we've raised it a number of times with them, so we'll keep pushing with them, try and get a response. At the time it was the availability of machinery to get in there and do that mahi, but we'll keep pushing. We looks like we need to push a bit harder.
Yeah, we wanted that done within our term, and so we're coming up to new trustees soon. Yeah, so we wanted that done 3-4 years ago.
Kia ora. Hearing you loud and clear.
Yep. Ngā mihi.
Thank you, Mary.
Kia ora. Oh, sorry, were you going to respond? Oh. Ko harumi taku ingoa, ngā mihi Timu, Ariki and the board. Congratulations, ngā toru. Anyway, I just hope nobody takes any offence, but I just have a couple of quick questions. The first one I have is I have a gazetted notice here of intention to remove limited partnerships from the register. So that includes He Iwi Kāinga Tūwharetoa Limited Partnership. It also includes Maui Toa Limited Partnership, Tauwhara ki te Haiuku Limited Partnership and Tūwharetoa Gondola Limited Partnership. So that just took place 2 days ago. So does anybody know about that? That's the first one.
No.
So it's a gazetted notice. You can Google it, everybody. So that's the Tūwharetoa Gondola Limited Partnership.
And we're happy to have a look at that. Fire, thank you for informing us.
Yeah, so I just Googled it. Just going through your fellas' directory here.
But the order is what? What's the order, sorry?
It's a gazetted notice of a removal of those partnership groups.
Yeah, no.
So obviously there's going to be replacement or something in that place.
We don't know of it, and I've signed nothing into that effect.
Well, somebody's gone ahead and made it a gazetted notice.
Okay,
And my
we'll
second
investigate it.
part,
We'll investigate because some of them we would certainly not break down. We certainly would not declassify them at all.
It's public notice. It's on Matua Google.
Ka pai. If we can have a look at that, would be. So we've got Mel. If she can get the link off her, or she can get the link off you, sorry, and we'll investigate it straight away.
Yeah, well, somebody's intending to do something.
That's what we're doing.
Anyway, my second question is, there was a release on Facebook, and you've put their members. Now, is the Tūwharetoa Settlement Trust a club?
No.
No. So you've used it in your presentation also, you said members. Now, my understanding is we're owners and beneficial owners. So you should be using the correct terminology.
Yeah, we can use members, we can use beneficiaries. Beneficiaries it seems to be, but I'll change it to beneficiaries quite happily.
Because members belong to clubs. And my understanding is we don't belong to a club.
Okay. No, kia ora.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
No offence taken.
Any other pātai whānau?
Kia ora whānau, ko Waitapu Beach toko inga.
Well, kia ora.
Kia ora. Just want to acknowledge the Tūwharetoa Trust Board and Settlement Trust for my son's trade qualification. He just qualified as a butcher.
Massive.
Just been done, and he'll graduate February next year in Auckland. So he's our butcher down in New World Tūrangi.
Massive.
Just turned 19. Kia ora, thank you for
Kia
that.
ora. Kia ora Waitapu. Anything else, or we'll carry on with our Saturday? I'm going hunting tonight, so... Any questions? Can we make this the last question? Can we get a mic there, please?
Kia ora, my name's Herbie Terry.
Kia ora.
I just listening to your pātai on housing. You got electric and all that stuff in there, but nothing about solar panels.
Yes.
Are you going to do anything about solar panels?
Yes, that's part of the design on top of the roof, but the major issue was about the weight of them. But certainly, with the way it's built with the glass, in terms of heating, there won't really need to be too much heating. But certainly, we've taken that on board with regard to the solar panels. So thank you for that.
Well, you better give me your number because I want my solar panels up.
Oh, I see. Do we get a discount? All right. I think we're finished. You got one now? Okay.
Is the trust looking for ways to invest?
Yes.
In the business for our iwi members? I am a small business owner. I am Tūwharetoa, and I would like your support to grow. To be the future, we talk about to be in the community, to provide employment and benefit to our people. And I'm a small business owner in Te Teko. I own takeaways. I've got two sides, I only work one side. And I'm looking forward to, because 5 years I've been doing my shop now, and I want to take the food industry away and turn it into a laundromat. And we need one in Te Teko.
Well, kia ora. If you want to pass on any information to Melanie in terms of where you, what you're looking to produce, we'll certainly help you, but and also in terms of any advice you might need as well.
Oh, yes, cool.
All right?
Yes, I'd love
Kei
to.
te pai.
Thank you.
Good on you. All right, this is the last one. Kote? Tato? Aye. Yeah. Kote. Oh. Dave. It's your shirt. Mm.
Kia ora. David James Davis, Taki Ingoa. The question was asked over here, how long will the houses stand for? Is she walking out? She's walked, she's gone. I'll tell the rest of you. I'm in the industry. The homes are being built using steel frame with timber finishing. They'll stand for 50 years plus. Because the steel frame doesn't move. It travels easy, it's light. I've just been talking to Matt online. We hooked up. Matt is the project manager for the job. He's asked me for help. I've been in the industry since 1994 building steel frame for Maori. I started with kahungunu. Another thing too, your papakainga projects here, I need to talk to someone on that. I'm working with kahungunu and I'm working with the local Maori architect. We're bringing their, and I'm working with TDC as a result, we're bringing their papakainga guidance lines from Hawke's Bay to here. We need to localise it.
Wow.
But it'll help with all the paperwork. We get rid of the paperwork. TPK know about it, they're already on board. So I need an appointment sometime to see.
Anna.
Aside from that, it's good. It's a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Come in and see Sean. Come and see Sean with the paperwork. I think we've finished, Whānau. All I want to say is thank you very much for coming. Not only for this hui, but also the Trust Board hui. It's been a good day, and it's good to see everyone kanohi ki te kanohi. And all your questions are good questions. We'll look forward to answering more next year. All I can say is have a merry, safe Christmas, a COVID-free Christmas, especially, because it makes Christmas dinner a little bit funky. So all I can say is thank you very much for coming, and I hope you enjoyed the day. Kia ora.
Arera kua mutu te kaupapa kai mui a tātou i tēnei wā, ngā ka huri au tātou nei whakaaro ki tō tātou matua mea ono manaki haitiaki i a tātou i tēnei ahi pō. Ka tika tā huri te kai o tātou nei waka ki o tātou nei kāinga maha, huri noa, ngā tōpito, e noho ana i a tātou Tūwharetoa. Nā reira tēnei te tono ki te atua o ngā atua, hei manaki haitiaki, i a tātou i tēnei wā. Ka whai atu tātou ki te taumatatanga, te tike o ngā rangi, o tātou nei whakaaro e pāna ki ngā kōrero, kua horohia mātou, kai mui a tātou. Nā reira kia au, kia mau, ki te kawai atua, nāna nei ngā mea katoa. Uhiana te taonga o te aroha ki o tātou tini whanaunga, te hunga mā wiwi, te hunga kore kai, te hunga kore e mahi. Nā reira tēnei mātou, e te atua, ka tukuna atu e nei nā kawai kai mua i tō aroaro. Nā reira kia tau te rangi marie, kai rungi a tātou, mai tēnei haura, inga wā katoa. Ka piki te ora, kia piki te kaha, kia piki te māramatanga. I raro e nā te māramatanga, ka uhia nei a te whitinga o te ora. Nā reira, tēnei te tau. Uhi, wero, naunga i te ora, haumie, hui e, tai ki. Kāmura. Akaria mai, ori me ka kia. Tiki te haere i runga e te rangi Māori.